Welcome to Storycraft Portal, the place where every story is packed with suspense, thrill, and shocking reality. If you're someone who's fascinated by real-life crimes, unbelievable events, and dramatic twists, then you're in the right place. Today's story feels like something straight out of a movie. A convicted killer, already serving his sentence, was mistakenly released from jail due to a system error. Yes, you heard that right. A murderer walked free, not by escaping, but because of an official mistake. What happened next will absolutely blow your mind. It was just another day at the Fulton County Jail in Georgia, buzzing with routine and paperwork. Among hundreds of inmates, there was a man named Christopher Buggs, a convicted killer serving time for a brutal crime. Unknown to many, an administrative error was about to change everything. A mix-up in court documents listed Buggs for release, confusing his case with another inmate's minor charge. The officers, trusting the paperwork, processed him out. No alarms, no suspicions, just a silent exit of a dangerous man. As Buggs walked out of those gates, no one realized that a killer had just been set free. Legally, but mistakenly. The system that was meant to protect society had just failed in the most unimaginable way. And out there, a man with blood on his hands was now breathing the air of freedom. But how long would that last? Christopher Buggs blended into the world outside like he had never been behind bars. He didn't run or hide. He simply disappeared into the crowd. No alerts had been issued, no police chasing him down. He walked into freedom as if he deserved it. Meanwhile, in the jail, no one noticed the blunder. Days passed, and Buggs began moving through Atlanta's streets like a shadow. He avoided old contacts, stayed off the grid, and lived quietly, but not cautiously. For him, this wasn't a prison break, it was a gift. The outside world had changed, but his instincts hadn't. He knew how to survive, and now he had nothing to lose. What the system didn't know was that the man they accidentally released was dangerous, and any silence from him wouldn't last forever. Somewhere in the city, a storm was quietly building. It took nearly a week before someone noticed the error. A routine case audit flagged something odd. Buggs' name on a list he shouldn't be on. Panic set in. Officers scrambled to double-check files. Phone calls were made. And within hours, the reality hit hard. A convicted murderer had been let go by mistake. The jail launched an internal investigation. Meetings were held behind closed doors, and press silence was maintained for now. They didn't want the public to know how badly they'd failed. Meanwhile, law enforcement teams were activated to quietly track Buggs without alarming the city. But the problem was, he'd vanished without a trace. No credit cards, no phone pings, just cold silence. It wasn't just about fixing a mistake anymore. It was now a manhunt for someone who shouldn't have been free in the first place. Word finally broke out. Local news stations got wind of the mistake. And suddenly, the story was everywhere. Convicted killer released by mistake. Panic spread through the community. People wanted answers. How could such a dangerous man be released so easily? Social media exploded with outrage, theories, and fear. The police were forced to go public, urging citizens to remain calm while assuring them that Buggs was being actively hunted. But behind the cameras, pressure mounted. The mayor demanded updates every hour, and the corrections department faced intense scrutiny. Buggs, meanwhile, watched the headlines from a distance, amused but cautious. He knew the hunt was on. He knew his face was now on every screen. But he also knew something else. He had a head start, and in this twisted chase, every second mattered. The manhunt kicked into high gear. Police departments across state lines were alerted, while the U.S. Marshals joined the search. Surveillance footage from nearby gas stations, motels, and buses was reviewed nonstop. Every lead was checked, every tip chased. But Buggs had gone completely off the radar. He wasn't using digital trails. No phone, no bank cards, nothing. It was as if he'd vanished into thin air. Meanwhile, the officers who approved his release were placed under investigation. Suspensions followed. Careers were at risk. The media was relentless, and public trust in the system crumbled. Internally, law enforcement knew that if Buggs committed another crime while free, the consequences would be catastrophic. Time was slipping away. They needed a break. They needed a mistake from him, just one, to find him again. After days of silence, a small break finally came. A gas station security cam picked up a blurry figure matching Bug's description in a town 2 hours from Atlanta. He had bought snacks and paid in cash, but the limp in his walk gave him away, a detail known from his prison records. Police rushed to the location, but he was gone. Still, it was the first confirmed sighting since his release. That one clip reignited the search. Officers began combing nearby towns. Flyers were posted. Locals were questioned. The FBI joined in, offering support and resources. Bugs, aware he had been spotted, kept moving. He shaved his beard, changed clothes, and ditched his old jacket. He couldn't afford another sighting. For him, this was now a game of survival, and one wrong move could end it all. Despite the close call at the gas station, Bug stayed one step ahead. He moved only at night, stuck to back roads, and avoided cameras. He stole food, broke into abandoned places, and rested during the day. Authorities were now chasing a ghost. His ability to vanish frustrated even the best trackers. Public fear grew as sightings turned into rumors. Every tall man in a hoodie sparked calls to 911. But while police scrambled, Bugs had a goal: reach Florida, where he had old connections. If he could make it, he might disappear forever. But the net was tightening. The task force had narrowed down his likely path, and roadblocks were being set up. Bugs could feel the pressure now. He knew the freedom he enjoyed was temporary. But would he make it to safety? Or would fate finally catch up? Bugs had been careful until now. Desperate and exhausted, he broke into a rural home near the state line. But he didn't know the homeowner had surveillance cameras. The moment he stepped inside, an alert went straight to local police. Within minutes, the area was swarming with officers. Bugs tried to run, disappearing into the surrounding woods. But this time, he left behind clues, muddy footprints, torn clothing, and a trail of broken branches. The manhunt zeroed in. Drones were launched, K-9 units deployed, and thermal imaging swept the forest. For the first time, Bugs was cornered. He didn't know it yet, but every move he made was being tracked. The silence of the forest was about to break with the thunder of boots, barking dogs, and the voice of justice closing in. At dawn, it ended. Officers surrounded a thicket near a riverbed where Bugs had hidden for the night. Cold, soaked, and exhausted, he tried to run one last time but stumbled and fell. The K-9 unit reached him first, followed by the marshals. He was taken down without a single shot fired. His face, tired and defeated, told the story of a man who ran out of chances. He was cuffed, read his rights, and driven away in silence. News of his capture spread fast. The public sighed in relief, and the system, embarrassed but relieved, claimed to win. Bugs said nothing. No apology, no emotion, just the end of a chase that should never have started. But behind the relief was a bitter truth. A mistake like this should never happen again. Christopher Bugs was returned to prison under maximum security, this time with no chance of error. The jail staff involved in the release were disciplined, some fired, others demoted. New policies were introduced to prevent such a blunder from happening again. The public remained shaken, but grateful it ended without more bloodshed. Bugs never explained his plans, nor expressed regret. For many, he became a symbol of everything wrong with a broken system. But for law enforcement, his capture was a reminder of the stakes. One mistake can lead to chaos. On Storycraft Portal, we tell stories not just to thrill, but to reflect the truth. This was more than a manhunt. It was a test of justice. And justice, no matter how delayed, finally caught up. Case closed.